Let's roll right into this really, really big, complex topic. So what causes difficult situations to arise? Biggest ones that always are things that continuously show up are unclear communication of expectations. That's huge. The more you get out there and the more work you do, the more clear you need to be in making sure your expectations align with the clients. With that, I want to say some of the hardest situations that this has led to. We're going to have, I'm not going to say any names of clients, but I'm just going to talk about the project really briefly. First, we're going to say the lake project. This is the one where I knew going in, I could just feel like, but I just wanted the job so bad because it's a $50,000 job. And I wanted to be able to say it was our biggest job. And so we went for it. And there was two different things in this job that happened that led to really, really bad situations with clients. Of course, we made it through, but it was those new challenges you had to overcome. So the first one was a client tried to say we were not far enough for the next draw. This is probably one of the biggest things for me. When you're doing project work, like the beginning draw and the last draw are determined by when you start the job and when the client's happy. But the draws in between are based off of what you need, where you're at in the project, and that's up to the contractor in my eyes. And this time in our business, we hadn't projected that clear enough. This was also super stressful because I was on the way to Amsterdam to take Zoe to a business mastery course and go and learn a lot for our team. And we were in the middle of like money was tight. There was a lot of things going on. We needed the draw for this project. And I go to get this draw and tell her, hey, we're going to be doing the next one. And I had a client look at me and say, well, you haven't really quite made it far enough yet. So I'll decide when you're ready to take your next draw. And this is huge frustration to me, because as the company, we're the people deciding when that draw is time. This isn't the finished product. This is a middle draw on the job. So this was the first weird situation that spewed just because it was all our fault, because back then there wasn't enough communication. There was not enough of a procedure around our draw schedule, and people weren't educated enough on it. So why we have so much literature now. Terms of service is huge. Milestone payment literature. Everything we make available for our clients was created because we ran into some shitstorm of a situation or some problem or some crazy thing popped up with a client that we just had no way to handle it, and we built it into a terms of service. We're going to get into the meat of this thing, and this is where, like, if you're going to take some notes or you're going to get some takeaways, this is where it's going to start. But I had to really relate and say how much bad stuff, and that's just like the very icing on the cake. We've had a million things that we've learned from. So now it's how to avoid difficult situations altogether. This is ideal if you can stop them up front and try to minimize what you have happen. So problems can be avoidable when you look at what other people implement and understand why they have implemented these policies and standards. I always encourage people to borrow from other people that have grown more, that have done more, that are bigger. When we started getting into terms of service, I looked at other companies and we piled all those together and then put in our things on top of that and then continuously built. It got us there faster. Now, when people sign an estimate, they're signing off on terms of service, and it's eliminating issues. So the premise goes into every layer of your business. You aren't recreating the wheel ever. I think that's the thing as business owners. We always want to try to create, but a lot of the stuff's no reason to create it because it's already been done. When we're marketing different things, like creating new door hangers, our team will look up modern real estate door hangers, and for example, and then they'll find a design and use it. You don't have to recreate it. You can find something, you can use it, and then you can build on it. Or when you build a terms of service or something as a defense against difficult situation. And if you don't have a terms of service yet, we can share ours with everybody on here. We can help out in any way. But that's what this is. It's a defense to you against crazy stuff happening in your business with clients. Don't create it from scratch. Just build off of what other people have created. As problems arise with clients, a payment issue, they didn't know this rock was going to be this color, these different things, or these crazy things that come up in billing. List these problems as they happen, as each new one happens, list them. So because you're going to build these into your terms of service. Do you ever wonder why Apple has you sign a new terms of service so often? It's because they ran into some new kind of crazy situation with someone that they wanted to eliminate. So every time you hit accept on your iPhone, it's because they just fixed a new crazy problem. And that's all they're doing. And that's what we need to be doing with ours as well. So make your terms of service available. This saves you time on emails and phone calls. And when people have questions, put it on your website, email it to them. If you're big into paper, mail them copies of your terms of service so they have it available to them. Every email that goes out, it should be attached to your invoices, everything. Your terms of service is a buffer in itself. After a terms of service, you also want to implement procedures that eliminate this in the future. Whatever the work you're doing, if you're not using some kind of boilerplate, you need to implement that. That's going to be a huge save for you guys. If you're on a landscaping project, for instance, and like anytime we create a landscaping estimate, this is always down at the bottom. It's a boilerplate of every line item. And it says things like soil correction is not included. Well, what does that mean? That means if we go out and we dig and we find boulders, or the ground is tons of roots, or whatever the issue is in the soil that you can't see because it's pre-excavation, it covers us for that because we had no idea. And it says that's not included in the estimate. So if we go way over time on something that is soil correction, now that is an add-on thing, a thing that needs a change order to take care of that. And the boilerplate saved you. Also, our boilerplate states stuff like, this doesn't include hazardous material. This doesn't include stuff outside the scope of work. The scope of work's right above. So it's like, if it's not written here, don't expect it to get done. It says it in the boilerplate. Trying to save money up front. You talked about it when you first went over it. Don't assume anyone takes anything from the conversations you have about what you're going to do on your project. Get it in writing, put stuff in your boilerplate to protect you on what you do and do not have to do. We would go out on a project and someone would say, hey, could you just touch up our rock here in the beds just a little bit here and there? I don't want to spend much money. I just want to touch it up. And I'd been led into that several times, and several times have been okay. And then one time we did it, and trap rock has this funny thing about its rock. When you put it out, it's covered in a dust that does not come off until you've had several rains to get it to wash off. So it looks like a completely different color. Now, this is huge because people will think that you've put the wrong rock down. We had to re-rock a whole project or cover the whole project in rock just because they thought we had the wrong stuff down. This is where we use that foresight now from experience to save us a ton of hassle. Tell them what to expect. Tell them as much stuff as you can up front. Actually, I'm going to jump right into the next point. Tell them all the bad things that can happen. Hey, we're going to screw up your lawn. Try to say it nicely, but we're going to screw up your lawn. We're going to break irrigation heads. We're probably going to tear up this. We may need to repair that. There could be additional stuff that gets spent here. This is something that comes up a lot. We may run into this as well. We may rut and damage something over here. Tell them all the bad stuff that can possibly happen that you can think of. Because the more bad stuff you can educate them up front on, the more stuff that they don't run into unexpectedly. I know you're all here because you want to grow your companies. As your companies grow, they need more and more protection to eliminate the problems that come up with clients and other problems in general.